Oh, so today I got a question to look at, reflect upon, and think about. This question is, how does a reframe make you feel? So, reframing is something that I think a lot of people have heard in like therapy and coaching and etc. etc. And I guess I wanted to talk about, I guess, the inner conflict that comes up for me when I think about a reframe. Okay, so the art of the reframe is an interesting one for me, because I feel like how I've received reframes differently. And I guess before I really jump into it, what is a reframe? So a reframe, in my definition here, is a point of view you have on something, and somebody goes, hey, here's your situation, look at it from a different angle, right? So if this is your point of view, shift it over here. Change the way you look at the same thing. I feel very conflicted with that, because I feel like the art of the reframe is done really badly by most people out in the world, okay? So I feel like if you're going to reframe, and this is how I've received reframes from some people, don't look at it so bad, you've got this and this, right? That's like technically a reframe. I think that can be like super invalidating. So I think if you want to start moving towards like change talk and evolving from where you are, in my experience anyway, if you're met with just do this, or have you looked at it like this, immediately bad idea. Because like I'm pretty emotionally strong in my reaction when somebody wants to like push me in a certain direction. So I push against that pretty hard. It's not something that I kind of really resonate with as a point of view, unless somebody's like earned the kind of conversational trust through putting kind of the work in. I think a lot of people feel, probably not a lot of people, I certainly feel that if somebody comes to me and they're like, hey, maybe you should try something differently, like I feel like I have a strong like rebellious emotional reaction to be like, well, like, what do you mean? Like, why are you giving me unsolicited advice, right? And I think a reframe is kind of like in the arena of unsolicited advice for me, and it annoys me. It makes me angry. It makes me frustrated. It's like, hey, you haven't like understood the context of what I'm trying to do, or the full range of what I've experienced. And that's why I like really feel like when I'm trying to reframe something, there's like almost an order of operations that I have to go through to kind of accept that, right? So for me, I have to like dig in a bit more and like understand my emotional context first. Like I can't just go, I'll just look at something differently, because there's like clearly an attachment to my current frame, right? The way I'm looking at the world right now. You know, for instance, I went for a job interview recently for a job at my local council, and I didn't get the job. And initially I was kind of angry and frustrated about that. Kind of felt a bit disappointed, activated some previous wounds for me. And that was challenging. That was tough. But part of my brain was like, hey, just like reframe immediately, right? But I didn't want to do that. I felt frustrated internally when I was like trying to process and regulate this, because it's like clearly I'm attached to this for a reason. I'm attached to the frustration of this outcome for a reason. So how can I like change and reframe from that? Like I needed to journal about it. I needed to write down why I felt frustrated. I need to dig into it. I think for me, it comes from a place of wanting to, I guess, feel more adaptable in different situations. Be able to cosplay a normie is maybe the way I would put it. Because my assumption is that like kind of government jobs are very much following kind of the social norms of your environment and wherever you live, right? The government is the pillar of the normal, I would say. That's kind of my point of view. So not being able to get any further in that environment, or get a second interview, because there were 2 interviews, I didn't pass the first interview. You know, there's certainly kind of errors on my part. I didn't like show up as early as I probably should have. I was quite nervous. I don't feel like I was as well prepared. But I think this all, to me, like hammers home like, what am I doing in a broader sense? Like, why did I even go to this interview? Like, what would I even be looking for at this job? What path am I walking down, and why am I doing what I'm doing? And ultimately, I think this idea of being able to kind of fit in when I kind of want to is something that's been buried in my subconscious, and comes to this idea of a reframe, right? Because almost in my head, I would like to be able to kind of snap into the reframe of the what I would define as the normal way of looking at the world. But I guess I feel I don't think that's actually possible for me. I think there are some ways I process the world differently. I am neurodivergent. I have dyslexia. I'm very intuitive in how I process things. So if I receive a lot of very detail-orientated, grounded work and information, it just doesn't connect with me. It doesn't resonate with me. I need to use my intuition to like have meaningful work in my opinion and experience. So, you know, I think that comes from like my desire to kind of fit in and feel like maybe more part of British culture in a way, maybe. But ultimately, I learned that like I couldn't with where I'm at with the performance on the day. It wasn't what they wanted, you know. That's how that goes sometimes. And I talk about this like reframe, especially because like the job market's crazy. I've talked in videos about the job market, right? And I think the reframe really for me is, how can I accept the kind of waves that are hitting me as I'm like going through things and being met with rejection. I every week hit a degree of rejection because I keep trying to put myself out there in different ways. Part of my brain processes how well these videos do as a rejection or not, right? And ultimately, a big part of the reframes and the process I go through to like accept like this outcome, and I think that feeling comes from the position of like wanting to be seen, probably wanting to connect with like-minded people, wanting to feel validated in a way for being who I am and what I'm about, you know. And I think everyone on these platforms may be looking for something similar, or anyone who does social media stuff. But I think ultimately this reframe and like where it came from in like this idea of cosplaying as a normal person really taught me that like a lot of what I'm doing, or a lot of what I have done, has been to bury and protect my certain parts of myself that I feel are a bit odd, right? Maybe be less accepting of my oddities, and I feel like I am accepting in a lot of ways. It's like one of the reasons I do these videos, right? To like talk about this, even if no one sees it. Like, I think I'm being vulnerable by like talking about this online and putting it on the internet. But I think there's definitely parts of me there that haven't like fully accepted that. I think when I think about tattoos or like my aesthetic, I think I look pretty like normal, right? I don't have any tattoos or any piercings, or I'm just wearing a black t-shirt. I'm like not prescribing specifically to any certain camp of aesthetic, physically, politically, subculturally. And I think that's all in an effort to be able to be a bit of a social kind of chameleon and butterfly and go through different contexts. And that's because I'm like curious and I want to understand lots of different points of view, and I don't want to protect myself from potential judgments. But also, I guess, yeah, I think historically I felt like different from like the normal degree of processing in how I look at the world. And my reframe for that, right, is, hey, actually, if we process our emotions, understand internally what's going on in here and in the heart, that's enough. You know, I don't need to be normal. I don't need to be a good fit for a government job. I don't need, because like ultimately, like I'm developing and understanding my skill set, and if it's not a fit for a government environment, then it's not a fit for a government environment, right? I think historically that reframe would land as well, because I wouldn't know how to navigate the feelings associated with it, right? I wouldn't be able to navigate what I felt was an immediate rejection, where it's not actually rejection. It's just like I'm a square trying to go into a circle-shaped hole, and it's okay to be a square. There's value in a square, right? So that's where I'm going to leave it today. That's how a reframe makes me feel. A lot of complex angles for me in my head, anyway. I'm going to leave it there for today. You've been wonderful. I've been Will. Take care of yourself. You've been beautiful. Goodbye. See you in the next one.